thank you so much for taking the time and speaking to me here at Director's Notes about your film Bus Girl.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, you have sort of released a film about food in a time where there are lots. We've got the menu, we've got Boiling Point, we've got The Bear, but you've got a great female perspective, which I really appreciated. How
Oh.
did you come to the writing of the story?
Um, yeah, we first off, it does feel like we're going through a bit of a food trend, but obviously we made Busker before any of those came out. So it was just kind of fascinating seeing how we were a part of that.
It is
What
weird. There seems to be a real sort of something going on in the industry.
something in the culture came to all of us at the same time, but the way this came about was for any of your viewers who don't know, I have been acting in the industry and writing since I was 16. So I've been doing it a while. And I suppose the first place to start would be to say that I had become quite disenchanted with our industry over the last 8 years or so, specifically for the roles available for women,
Mm.
especially women over a certain age, women of a certain ethnicity. That growing up in England, I feel like there's not that much diversity in terms of stories, and the way women are represented on film has often been quite depressing. So I always knew I wanted to be a part of the change and not just complain.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into writing, and directing came about because everyone who read my scripts always said that I just had a very director's way of writing things, and it was clear that I could see the thing in my head. And yeah, that's how I knew I wanted to try my hand at directing. And Busker came about very last minute. It was probably the second wave of COVID. That's how I track time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I was in LA filming, and my producing partner came to me and said, we should really make a short. It's time. And all directors will know, you always say, no, I'm not ready yet, or no, I'm not ready yet, or I need to wait for the right story. And the real answer is that there is no right time, there is no right story. You just have to do it, and you will learn by doing it. And so I thought, I want to make something I can shoot in sort of 2-3 days, very minimal in terms of locations, minimal in terms of crew. And I'd always been fascinated by food. Food is sort of how my family communicates with one another. It's how we show affection. It's how we argue. We'll burn the dinner.
That's a good
If I've
passive
had a
aggression.
Yeah, if I've had a fight with my mom, I'll go and I'll chop her some fruit and I'll bring her a plate of fruit. Like, it's just how we show affection and communicate with one another. And I'd always been fascinated by that, and I wanted to pay homage to that part of my culture.
Hmm. Okay. And you were approached by, I can't get the name of this right, Xiaomi?
Xiaomi.
Xiaomi.
Yes, Xiaomi is a phone company. Actually, I think at this stage, I think it's the second biggest phone company in the world. We don't hear them very much in England because obviously Apple rules.
Mm.
But they're a huge phone company, and they have some pretty great cameras attached to
I
their
mean,
smartphones.
your film is a testament to that.
Oh, thank you. So when we were looking at how are we going to fund this, they came on board and said, okay, we'll fund this, but you have to shoot it entirely on the phone. No lenses, no attachments, because often you see these Apple commercials, shot on Apple commercials, and it's like, here's the phone, and then they've got a massive lens that they've sort of clamped to the phone.
Yeah.
And
It's on a
it's
big
just
fancy rig or something.
yeah, it requires technical knowledge. And what I love about the idea of shooting on a phone is how accessible it is to everyone. It's never been easier to make art. You have the ability to make a film right here in your pocket. And so we wanted to have a very basic setup and kind of stay true to that.
So were you intimidated by the prospect of filming something on your phone or on a phone?
Yes, only because when I started crewing up, at first I wasn't intimidated because I think my crutch is that I have real imposter syndrome as a director because I never went to film school and I don't have the technical knowledge. I have obviously the pieces which I've learned from being on set, and I'm very lucky. I've learned from some of the best directors and DPs in the business, but I don't have a qualification. I don't have a certificate. And so at first I thought, well, let's shoot it on phone. That would be great. And then as I was crewing and trying to find DPs, I realized how many DPs were just like, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Not interested. And Nick Cook, who I really lucked out with, was the first DP who looked at it as a challenge rather than an obstacle.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a big stigma around using phones as much as they are incredible. And, you know, I've worked with some students and you're like, you can do these things. You can do this on your phone.
But no, it just goes to show you that the technology has come to a place where it is really accessible. And it makes me so happy because I remember I never tried to go to film school, but I tried to go to drama school. And I remember looking at the costs and I was like, this is part of the problem. Formal education is not accessible.
Yeah.
That's why so many films feel like, oh, we've seen them before. So many performances, you go, oh, this is another Eton grad. And you just go, because those are the only people getting through these golden gates into the industry. But now with technology and with the internet, you know, and people making their own social media films, like it's never been easier, which I love.
Brilliant. So you spoke about your DP, who thought of it as a challenge. One of the things I really felt watching the film is there's quite a romanticism, I think, in your lighting and everything like that. Can you talk us through that process and how you came to that?
Yes. As an Asian director, I think it's a rite of passage to go through your Wong Kar-wai phase. And so I'm in my Wong Kar-wai phase where I just love that romantic feel. And, you know, I never thought we would achieve that to the degree that we did, but I wanted it to look like we shot it on film. And Nick said, okay, yeah, we'll try. But yeah, a lot of my reference points were from Wong Kar-wai films. And early in the process, Nick and I sat down and I said, you know, this is my idea. I probably over prepared in terms of the minutiae of this is what I want in the shot and this is how I pre-edited it.
Okay.
Because I was filming Glass Onion at the time and I had to do all my pre-production remotely. And then I flew into England and I knew I had a very short amount of time to make this film. I was there for a week. We shot for 3 days. And then I flew right back to Serbia and continued post-production remotely. So I really over-prepared knowing I can't go over a day. I can't afford to mess up. It was really sink or swim.
Yeah. What about the lighting and things? Because you've just got the phone. Do you use the same kind of equipment or did you have to adapt things?
Again, because of our time constraints, I said, I want this 360, like I want it all pre-lit. And so we handed over set every day for an hour to Nick to make sure that we could do whatever we wanted without any downtime. And also knowing that we're filming on a phone, the beauty and the pro of it is that you can just, it didn't require a big rig or 5 people or we had a little hand gimbal, like a selfie stick. Yeah. But we didn't need to lay down track. And so we could move very quickly and we were passing through objects and in and out. And so we had to pre-light, but we also had to make sure that it wasn't obvious because it could have been caught at any moment. Nick that was really his domain. Lighting is one of those things which I feel woefully ill-equipped to discuss. But we basically realized we did some camera tests, and we realized, okay, the phone really doesn't do, well, any phone really doesn't do well in darkness. We're going to have to overlight everything and bring it down in the grade.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
So what about you? So as you said, when you filmed this, you were recording Glass Onion. You're the writer, director, and actor in this film. How do you balance all of that?
Well, it was unintentional because I planned the short film before I got Glass Onion. And then when we were in our contract stage and they offered me the role, I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I have this short film and I'm not going to back out. And they said, you're willing to lose this $200 million franchise because you want to go make a short film. And I said, 100%.
Well done, you.
So we carved it out, and I almost lost the job trying to do that. It was very, very difficult, but kudos to my agents and obviously I have to thank Ryan Ram, our producer, for believing in me. But the acting thing was unintentional. Okay. I cast an actress, another mixed race actress, and then I think it was like just under a month before we started shooting. We were a couple weeks out, and she was on hold for a Netflix project. And we always said, okay, what are the film dates? And the film dates never clashed.
Yeah.
But they turned around, and because it was the second wave of COVID, they said, even though she's not filming on these days, we're just going to pay her to stay home because we're too afraid that she'll come and get COVID on your job. No one got COVID on our job. We were very safe. We followed all of it, but we did lose our actor, and the funding was going to fall through. And I was like, no, I just carved this out of my film schedule. Like, I cannot lose this now. I was so passionate about making it. The only way forward was doing it myself.
Well, I mean, it looks intentional, so well done.
Thank you. It's definitely hard on set, because I would line up with we've got a girl to stand in, and we'd line up with the stand-in, and I'd be with Nick discussing the shot, and then we would plan it out, and then I'd go in and I'd act it, and then I'd come back out and I'd have to give everyone direction and then give myself acting notes. But I think that the only way to succeed is either that you have to, as an actor director, certainly, you either have to have a fast or a producer who is basically co-directing it, or you have to be really good at compartmentalization, which is what I did. And so when I was watching playback, it's crazy, but something switched and it felt like I was watching someone else. I never got sort of self-conscious or had any of those issues that I normally have on a set.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You know, it's just like taking off one hat and putting on another one.
Yeah, it's possible.
It is possible. So there's a line in the film, I'm going to read it out here. So, it takes work to make something so beautiful. It takes love. I love that line because I think also it refers to making short films and to sort of everything you're doing there. Was that on purpose?
That was on purpose. The experience of working in the industry has so many parallels to working in the food industry. We're both about providing an experience. Our audience come into a dark cinema to watch a film that they know is make-believe. These diners walk into this darkened restaurant and sit down and eat food with this calming, relaxing jazz, knowing that sort of 30 feet away, the head chef is like sweating buckets and someone's accidentally set the souffle on fire and they're yelling at each other and like a busboy is crying into his tea towel. But it doesn't matter because we've come for an experience and we love to be whisked away from our life for an hour or two. And so, yes, the film is a a thinly veiled version of what it felt like on my first day on the job. I was 16, and people were saying my name wrong, and I didn't know where to stand. I felt like I was in everyone's way, but there was something so incredibly magical about it. That sense of my entire life is in front of me and anything is possible. And that's what I love about film is the magic, the hope. And so I really wanted to capture that feeling of possibility.
Yeah.
Even in the way I shot London, I feel like we watch a lot of productions which show the grittier, more real side of London, the darker side, the crime, the gray, the raining skies. And I wanted to show, I wanted to capture that feeling of the city is what you make of it. Yeah. Which is really how it felt to me when I first moved there.
And I mean, that is perfect. When she sat out there, like you said, she's in the rain, she's under an umbrella, but it's got that beautiful sort of purple hue. And then somebody comes over to her and tells her, you've done something amazing. And it is just beautiful.
And the next day she goes back to work and everything's the same. And it doesn't matter because she's had that food for the soul, and that will nourish her for years,
Absolutely. So what about your BAFTA nomination? How does that feel?
Surreal. It wasn't even on my radar. I didn't know that we were in the running. I didn't watch it live. I found out because I got a congratulations text. And then when they first announced the long list, I looked it up and they didn't say anyone's name. So I was frantically Googling, like, is there another short called Bus Girl? Because no way is this ours. But it's just so surreal. When I started, I bought a seat at the children's BAFTAs.
Okay.
This must have been like 2009, I think, 2010 maybe. I was just curious. I don't know why, but I essentially paid to become a seat filler, and to go back as an adult
with your little name card.
Yeah, and to be invited, and I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay for my ticket. It's so incredible. And we've been doing, I've been on films as an actor which have very luckily had incredible runs and done wonderful award tours, and you hear, the film I did got nominated for that. Oh, that's cool. That's nice. And I know this is crazy because it's a short film, but when I saw that it was us and that we were nominated, I was so emotional, and it affected me so much more than any other project that I've ever had get, recognition.
Yeah.
It meant more. I don't know. It was very emotional.
Good. Well, I mean, that's the kind of reaction you're supposed to have.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh.
And so now I read that you're working on your second Sandwich Man.
Yeah, so the sequel, Sandwich Man, has been shot.
Okay.
We've not taken it out just because, we're seeing what happens with Bus Girl. I have a feeling Sandwich Man will be much more direct to consumer. It will probably put it online shortly after Bus Girl, rather than doing a festival route. It's been so long since this whole process has been so long. I now just want people to be able to see it, and I'm excited. Bus Girl's going up on the Bafta YouTube channel, I think, in a couple of days. Yeah. So I'm excited for people to finally be able to see what I've been talking about for the past year.
Amazing. And what about your acting? Have you got projects going on?
I'm in that wonderful phase where I'm looking at the year ahead and I haven't made any firm commitments and I can kind of do whatever I want. I'm reading a lot of scripts, but I'm also I have the bug now, and I want to return to directing, and I have a couple shows that I wrote, which I have optioned at HBO Max, so I'm pursuing that. But as a director, I'm kind of looking to my first feature. hopefully with my producing partner as well, Louise. I love working with that. I would love to bring back Nick, the DP, and my crew. I feel like I got really lucky in that it was such a seamless, beautiful experience. And I don't think it's normally like that for most people on their first. But I just found a really great group of people.
Yeah. Well, keep them. I think I speak to a lot of people, and when they find a good crew, they keep them. And then those guys stay together, and then, you know, the develop work that you can do together. So that would be my piece of advice.
Thank you. Thank you. I will take it. Yeah, it's hard. My DP is so popular and he's off doing his own features now. And I'm just like, no, come back.
Right, that entices you to write more great stuff to bring him in.
Yes, I have to reel him back in, but I think it's possible. I think I can do it.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.